NyQuil campaign. Let's do it. All right. So a couple of years ago, Mars was in the news a lot. When they thought they found water on Mars under the surface. So do you guys like the planet Mars? Is that one of your favorite planets? Yeah. My little brother used to love the planet Mars. In fact, he loved it so much when he was in kindergarten, he wrote a book called Freddy Krueger on Mars. And it was one of those books where, like, you tell the teacher what you want the book to be ahead of time, and she writes it, and you go back in and draw the pictures, right? So it starts out like pretty normal. It's like, Will woke up one day and he saw a rocket ship outside of his house. So he got on the rocket ship and he rode it all the way to Mars. And Freddy Krueger was there. This is where it gets like a little bit strange, because the next like 7 pages are, he did them at home and shoved them in, and they're just page after page of like screaming, naked, decapitated women, like just running around in crayon with their tits hanging out, and they're like, ah! And Freddy Krueger's just murdering every one of them, you know, going, and their blood is like spilling with cartoon red on the harsh, unforgiving sand of the desert planet. And then in the corner of every page is a sad, crayon-drawn little boy just silently watching the murder take place, like page after page of him just in the corner like this. And then on the last page, it's just him in the rocket ship smiling and waving goodbye. Like he hasn't just witnessed hundreds of space murders on an alien planet. And the last line of the book is, well, thanks for showing me Mars, Freddy Krueger, but I gotta go. The end. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And like, my brother was telling me about it, and he was telling me about like his special adult friend who used to come in and ask him about the book like over and over again. Like, she would be like, I want to talk more about that book. And he's like, well, I get in a rocket ship. And she's like, no, I want to talk about these pages right here. And he's telling me about it, and he goes, oh shit. That was a child psychiatrist. That wasn't like a special friend. That wasn't a fan of my work. Like, that lady was trying to figure out if I was going to murder people in the class, you know? My brother was pretty, he was pretty crazy. I did something a little bit crazy. I want to tell you about the time I met Smokey the Bear for the first time. I was 4 years old, and it was the last year of preschool, the last day of preschool. A teacher comes in and she goes, boys and girls, we have a very special guest. Smokey the Bear is here. And I took off my jacket and I threw it up in the air and I went, yeah! And immediately she goes, Andrew, no. Because I've been bad the whole week, and that was like the last straw. So she sends me to the bad kid's room by myself while Smokey the Bear is coming, and I'm missing it. And I'm in this room filled with like crafts and like shit you don't need in like preschool. You know, I'm in there all by myself, and all I can hear is the deafening echo of the laughter of children just bouncing up and down the hallway as Smokey the Bear, my hero, is coming, and I am missing every second of it. And I'm in there just crying. I'm so ashamed of myself for being bad, and I just feel so terrible. And then the worst possible thing happens. Smokey the Bear comes into the bad kid's room and sees me in there. And I'm like, oh shit. I don't want Smokey the Bear to see me. Not like this, you know? And I'm in there and I'm all crying, and he's like confused because there's one kid in this tiny little room with all these extra crafts that no one needs. And he's looking around and he goes, why are you in this room by yourself, little boy? And I'm like, because I was bad. And he's looking around like, what the fuck do I do? You know, like, he's an actor in a bear suit. He doesn't know what a bad kid's room is, you know? Like, he just needs to make this money, you know, before, like, you know, like, he's not in a union. Like, this is what he does, you know? And he's like, okay, he's trying to calm me down because I'm flipping out, you know? And I'm like hyperventilating. you can't like stop crying. And he's like, well, calm down, calm down. Oh, what's your name, little boy? And I was so ashamed. This is what I said. I went, I don't have a name. He's like, Jesus Christ, you know? He goes, okay, well, I'm gonna call you Brian. And now I'm like, what the fuck, Brian? And he's like, well, see you later, Brian. And like in my head, I'm screaming psychically, I'm going, no, Smokey, no, don't leave. Don't let him leave, Andrew, your name is Andrew. Now Smokey the Bear will never know your real name. I'm looking out the window as he's like taking off his suit and putting it in the back of a hatchback before he goes to King's Dominion. You know, I'm just going, no, Smokey, no. And like that's why I stabbed a bear one time. I didn't stab a bear. Speaking of forest fires, I spent a New Year's Eve at a mountain house right after I graduated college with all my friends, a semester late. That's why it was New Year's Eve. We decided we were going to spend New Year's Eve together as men. And what we were going to do, no girlfriends allowed. We're just going to rent a cabin in the woods. And that's how we're going to celebrate our manhood together, graduating college a semester late, you know? And so the first thing we do was we took a whole bunch of painkillers, we drank a whole bunch of beers, and we ripped all the clocks out of the wall. Because no clock was going to tell us when it was New Year's Day. This was going to be on our time. And the second thing we did was we found this old Christmas tree on the side of the road. And we soaked it in gasoline and lighter fluid. And what I was going to do was I was going to breathe an Everclear fireball into the base of the Christmas tree at the stroke of midnight, our time. And that's how we would celebrate our manhood together as men, you know? Well, the thing about Everclear fireballs, grain alcohol soaks into your cheeks. So like the more I was practicing, the drunker I was getting, you know? And so like by the end of the day, I'm just like just dribbling Everclear all over myself. And they got me this raccoon skin hat like in town because I was the fire breather. And they're like, all right, Andrew, come on, it's New Year's Eve. Are you ready to do this? Come on. I'm like, I'm a fire breather. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Let's go. And so they carry me. And when you carry the person who's in charge of the pyrotechnics, that's like a bad fucking thing to do. They carry me to this little creek where they've set up the gasoline-soaked Christmas tree, you know, in case shit happens. Just sidekick it into the creek, right? You're cool, you know? And so they're holding me up and they're like, are you ready to do this? I'm like, yes! And they're like, okay, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year! And this gigantic fireball comes out of my mouth, and the tree just explodes into glorious flames, and it's beautiful, and then I'm on fire. My face is on fire, my hands are on fire, my stomach's on fire, because I have been soaking in grain alcohol all day. I look like a bad guy at the end of a shitty TBS action movie, like going, before Bruce Willis like kicks him out of like a skyscraper, you know what I'm saying? They're going, no! Just what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, has anyone been on fire before? This shit's fucking terrifying. Like, it's so bright. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, everyone's like, oh shit, and they're all like trying to pat me out. And then I hear this happen. Which can only happen when dudes are partying without their girlfriends. While everyone is trying to pad me down, this one guy is giggling. And while everyone's trying to keep me from burning to death, he's punching me in the stomach over and over again. And the thing was, I thought it was hilarious. I wanted to laugh too. But I couldn't, because there was no oxygen around my face. Because I was on fucking fire. I was just like, up and they're like, oh, let's get rid of this tree. So they kick it and it just goes into a pile of leaves. And the whole bank of the river goes up. And we're like, ah. So we like jump over this flaming river like into ice cold mountain water in North Carolina. And we're just doing this. Because no one brought a bucket. No one brought a bucket. And finally, like after an hour and a half, we get the fire out. And we're all like bruised and like sweaty but cold and freezing. And like we smell terrible. And we just feel like shit. And my buddy Fayaz looks at his watch. And it was 9:30. We're not. Okay, I got one more quick one for you guys. Did you guys have physical education tests when you were in elementary school? Word up. When I was in 4th grade, I ran an 18-minute mile. That's not good, by the way. That's not a good time to get on your mile. And it wasn't for the noble, like, oh, the fat kid tried his best, but he came in last. 18 minutes. Like, it was like way more embarrassing than that. I teamed up with the other fat kid in our grade. This guy named Ben. And coincidentally, we were the best drawers of dragons at our school. And I was like, Ben, man, we gotta stick this thing out. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, so we're running fat, you know, we're like doing it, you know. And we're like, it's right before the 3rd lap. And we see something on the edge of the track. And we're like, what is that? So we stop running the mile. And we go to the edge of the track. And in this ditch, filled with rainwater and bugs, is a grocery-sized bag of Starburst candy. And I look at my buddy Ben, and I go, you see that bag of Starburst candy that's all nasty and melted with those bugs and dirt and grass clippings all in it? And he goes, oh yeah. And I go, oh yeah. Let's eat all of it. So we sit down on the edge of the track while everyone's running the mile, and we ate every last one of those nasty melted Starburst candies. And some of them were so melted that all we could do was just pull the paper through our teeth to get the rest of the candy off. You know, it still had, you could taste like gravel, you know, and you're like, I don't know what I'm eating it, but I'm doing it, you know. And we look up, and the entire school is done running the mile. And we're like, we got a fucking lap and a half to go. So we're like, come on. So we start running, and we're running. And we get to the edge of the track, and the coach goes, 18 minutes. And immediately my buddy Ben pukes right there. And then this little girl goes, that puke smells like candy. And I'm looking around like, what are you doing to us? Like, why would you do this? And then this little detective runs to the side of the track and goes, Coach, look what I found. A grocery-sized bag of Starburst candy. And the coach grabs it, and he is getting furious. And he's looking at the 2 fat kids in last. And he's looking at this empty bag of candy. And he's looking at the puke, and he's putting 2 and 2 together. And he starts shaking this bag in our faces, like when you find a lover's pair of panties wrenched between the bed and the wall. There's just so much shame just shaking right in our face. And he's like, 18 minutes! 18 minutes! You wasted 18 minutes of our lives so that you could sit in a ditch and eat a wet bag of trash. And I was like, oh, Coach, don't yell at me, I'm sick. He goes, oh, I hope you're sick. I hope you puke 18 times to make up for every minute of our lives that you wasted. And that's how I ran an 18-minute mile.